Of course, it is a very beautiful and lovely Thursday, the 24th day in the month of October 2024, and I'm super excited to welcome you to the Breakfast Cafe on High Impact Television. I am Sarah Owusu. I feels like I've not been here in a very long time, but it's actually good to be back to grace your screens. Thank you for joining us this morning. I don't do this alone. I don't do this by myself, and this morning I have the Yoruba Angel. I've changed. I have the Yoruba Angel with me in the studio. Good morning, Olumide.
Good morning, Sarah. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
You're looking very colorful.
Am I?
Yes.
Well, thank you for the compliment.
I like the color, I like the belt, I like everything. You're looking very demure this morning.
Very mindful, very cutesy,
yes,
you know.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Good morning. Of course, welcome to the Breakfast Cafe, your daily dose of inspiration and motivation. I am Olumide Shokoya. So, if you're ready, let's kickstart this program. We'll be right back with banters. Welcome back, and we're starting off with banters. Now, the topic for today is quite interesting. It is the power of consistency. Now, consistency is the foundation of building lasting habits, achieving goals, and fostering personal growth. Now, by embracing consistency, one can transform their habits to enable success and unlock personal growth. Let me stop right here. I think consistency is what makes one perfect. If you want to be really good at something, you have to be very consistent. And repetition also is also a key thing. If you want to master the art of doing anything, you have to consistently doing it. And that means you have to get up. There are some days you don't feel like doing anything, or you don't feel like even doing it, but
well, is there anyone that is perfect? You said something that is the act of doing something, so you can, if you want to be perfect.
Yes.
Can we actually be perfect
at something?
Yeah.
Well, not 100%.
Yeah, I think that personally, I believe that we keep, getting better. We keep improving. We keep growing. I don't think there's anyone that can say, okay, I've perfected this act. You might just have, gotten a hang of it to a very large extent. But we all are learning, even people that are professionals in certain fields. When you have conversations with them, they'll tell you, oh, there's still a lot I need to learn. There's still a lot I need to work on. It just shows that even when it doesn't seem like it, you keep pushing. You don't give up. You keep encouraging yourself that, okay, I can do this. And you find out that with practice, you get there.
Definitely. So let's start off with some of the benefits of consistency. That is habit formation. Just like I said earlier on, repetition creates automatic behaviors. When you keep doing something, it becomes part of you. That's why you say someone can wake up and just do something without any impulse.
But what's that? Just to interrupt you for a bit. What's that one thing that if they wake you up today, you are sleeping, and they just tap you, Olumide, do this thing, without thinking twice, without grumbling, without any doubts, you would do it excellently.
Excellently.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a whole lot of things that I wouldn't want to say.
No, just say one. Just say one. Just tell us one.
Okay, I think if you give me a script to read any day, anytime, whether in the morning, afternoon, whether I'm sleeping, anytime, give me a script to read, I'll read it.
Read or voice?
Read it, voice it perfectly.
That's nice.
That's something I can do top of my head. Moving on, we have improved performance, the mastery through continuous practice. Of course, when you continue doing something, you get that, you become a master at it. Now, increased productivity. Of course, when you consistently do something, there's productivity, efficiency, and reduced procrastination. Yes, I think the enemy of procrastination is consistency. If you want to actually get something done, you have to do away with procrastination. Enhance credibility, yes, reliability and trustworthiness. Once someone knows that you are consistent, especially at work, you become credible. You have that street credibility, like they say.
Wow. Had to bring the song in. Nice.
Exactly. Now we have personal growth. Yes, self-discipline and resilience. You personally grow when you are consistent at something. You learn new things. For us journalists, when you consistently do something, it embroidens you with knowledge. You learn a lot about certain things that you've never experienced before. The only way you can do that is when you become consistent with that. Let's look at also we have better decision making. Yes, clearer priorities and focus. Reduced stress. predictability, and of course control. Improved time management. Of course, you prioritize and you organize your time. Now, there are key principles to this, key principles to consistency. You have to set clear goals. You define achievable objectives. I like that. Define achievable objectives.
It must be realistic.
Very realistic.
That's why I always say this thing, smart is what works for me. When you're going to build a goal, your goal must be smart. What does that mean? I've said it over and over on the show. It must be specific, it must be measurable, it must be achievable, it must be realistic, and it must be timely. So whatever goal you're going to be setting for yourself, make sure don't set a very unrealistic goal that, okay, at the end of the year, I want to buy a car, a 2023 model, whatever, and you know that you don't have the means to, your income cannot even buy half of that. But you say, no, I'm going to buy it, and you start setting very unrealistic.
Isn't that what they call faith?
Faith is not foolishness, if I can use that word. There are certain things that you don't try to do and say, okay, it's fate. If someone gifts you, come on, that's okay, right? But saying, okay, I'm earning 50,000 naira a month, and at the end of this year, I want to buy this car, I want to buy a house, and you are thinking, okay, I'm going to work for it from my salary. Come on, let's be realistic here.
So what's the difference between, what can you classify as realistic? If you look at people who have done so much for themselves, will you say they actually set realistic goals? Dangote, Mandela, and these great people.
I think even if we come down to not those great people in quote, and people that are around us that are actually, thriving and doing so good, and we take a cue from their life, we would see that they actually set goals that are realistic. Okay, so I want to start this project, and this is how much it's going to cost me. I'm working towards it in the next 2 years. I should be able to start it. I'm putting my heart to it. Okay, I want to have a land or a house. Okay, it's either I go to all those people that do this, pay small, or they set things that they know that, okay. And sometimes you need to also note that the fact that you're setting realistic goals doesn't mean that it would happen. Certain things can come up and you just can't meet the goal. But above all, don't try to be ridiculously, funny.
All right, let's continue. We create a schedule. Of course, you have to plan consistent time slot. Start small. Of course, you have to start small, not start big. You have to start small. Build gradually. Track progress. Of course, you have to monitor and adjust. You have to monitor your progress. See how far you've done from last month to this month. Make it automatic. Yes, create habits. Make it personal. Make it your daily habit. Overcome procrastination. Like I said, procrastination is the enemy of consistency. So you have to overcome procrastination. Break tasks into smaller steps. Stay accountable. Yes, you have to stay accountable to yourself. Share goals with others. Now, you also have to celebrate milestones. While you are trying to get at something, while you are trying to chase your goal, you have to also celebrate your milestone, acknowledge your progress. That's the only way you can also encourage yourself to do better. Consistency in various areas. That's another thing to also take note of. Health and wellness. In as much as you want to be consistent in doing something, you have to also monitor your health so that you don't go overboard and you start having high BP and all that.
It's very, very important to. I always preach it. The past few days I've been under the weather. That's why you did not see me on the show, and it made me understand that no matter what you're doing, sometimes we feel like we're okay.
Yeah.
We get the signs, the headaches, the loss of appetite, the sleepless nights, and we just feel like
tiredness.
It's just normal to go. And by the time it lingers and you actually now go for a checkup, you find out that it wasn't actually normal, and you've not been paying attention to certain things. You've probably not been eating well. Even sitting down in one position for too long it can actually be a problem. Being exposed to light, screens, sometimes just don't say, oh, I'm trying to make money, I need this money, and you just forget that you have a health to take care of. So that's also important.
All right, quickly let's brush through health and wellness. I've talked about that. Career development, continuous learning, and skill building. we have relationship, regular communication, and quality time. I think, okay, let's take this last one. Personal finance, budgeting, and saving. Of course, consistency brings that. I think we'll stop right there, and that's all we have right now, talking about consistency in banters and etiquette. We'll go take a short break now, and when we come back, we'll go on and see what's happening on the daily newspapers. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Breakfast Cafe, and now this is the newspaper review segment. What do we do here? We take a look at stories on The Punch, The Guardian, The Vanguard, as well as The Daily Trust, and we have a guest join us to have this conversation. And we also open the phone lines so you can call in and tell us your thoughts. 0812-182-0154 is the number to call. You know, one of the things that shook us yesterday was the announcement we got that the president, you know, reshuffled his cabinet and discharged 5 ministers. You know, that has met different reactions.
Okay.
Because I can see that this morning, so the private sector, opposition parties have split as over the president's decision, and you ask yourself, who are these ministers that were actually discharged? We have Barrister Uju Ken Ohanehe. She was, I'll use the word was now, she was the Minister of Women Affairs. We have Lola Ade John, who was the Minister of Tourism. We have Professor Tahir Maman, who was the Minister of Education. Abdullahi Mohamed Gwazo, who was the Minister of State, Housing and Urban Development. And lastly, Dr. Jamila Bio Ibrahim, who was the Minister of Sport Development. How did you react to this when you saw? And before you answer that, did you see the video of members rejoicing after the announcement of Barrister Uju Ken Ohanehe, after the announcement that she was, you know, removed?
We've always had this video of people rejoicing. Even when the DSS chief was changed, there was a viral video, I don't know how true that was, of people rejoicing. Even when the Inspector General 2 was replaced at a point, people are always rejoicing. So you wonder, is it that people are always on the, okay, you can see the video now of people rejoicing and all that. So it speaks...
Particularly for the Minister of Women Affairs.
Yes.
That's it was very...
It doesn't speak well.
So it feels like, okay, maybe she wasn't really the people's choice, or something just felt very off about it. And it's important to know that the president, you know, reassigned new portfolios to different ministers. You also appointed new ministers and their portfolios. A whole lot took place yesterday, and let's get your perspective on this. The president's cabinet reshuffling and reappointment, discharging some ministers. Let's get your perspective. 0812-182-0154 is the number to call. That's where we're going to kick off the conversation on the newspaper review this morning as we take a look at the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. Now, the Vanguard puts the headline this way: Tinubu fires 6 ministers, hires 7 new ones in cabinet rejig. He has named a couple of writers to that story, names Bianca Ojukwu 6 new ministers, redeploys 10, appoints Shehu Diko chairman National Sports Commission. Buhari's ex-minister takes over Labour. SGF HOS working on merger of ministries. Bianca Ojukwu, did you see that coming?
I didn't see that coming, but, well, fingers crossed. The reshuffle to me, it's not, if it were the key sectors that are having a bit of crisis in this economy, I would have been shocked. Maybe in defense, probably Minister of, but these sectors also matter, like education. So I hope that the new Minister of Education will see changes in education. That's my own.
Well, from what we have here, we have Suwaiba Said Ahmed, who is the Minister of State Education under the Federal Ministry of Education. And it's important to know that Bianca Odumegwu is now the Minister of State Foreign Affairs under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Right, but let's quickly move on from that story. But you get all the details on page 5. We'll definitely talk about it when our guest joins us in a moment. Above the masthead, we see this one. International Monetary Fund wants Nigeria to focus more on increasing tax revenue. Details, page 20. House of Reps small increase in derivation fund from 13% to 50%. Then get details on page 12. Climate change, Lagos is sinking. Deputy Governor Hamzat raises alarm. That's on page 10. Just beside that, Obasanjo Danjuma decried dwindling quality of leadership in Nigeria. Page 8 has the details. There's a pictorial representation we see. The caption says, pensioners protest in Abuja. These are elderly people from the picture we are seeing here, you know, and these are some members of the contributory pension scheme sector of the Nigeria Union of Pensioners picketing office of the Accountant General of the Federation over non-payment of their accrued dues in Abuja yesterday. This should not even be the case.
This is inhumane.
This is they've worked for this. These people are they've retired, they want to rest, they want to just relax, and then they have to go through this process to even get what is accrued to them.
Imagine you working 30 to 35 years of your life.
See parents sitting on the floor, you know, protesting for what is theirs. They should be attended to swiftly. Beside that story, diaspora Nigerians to get BVN. Interesting. This is coming from the CBN governor, Yemi Cardoso. Page 20 has the details. Federal government withdraws money laundering charge against Binance official Gambarian. That's on page 9. I saw it yesterday. Why are you chuckling, Olumide?
It's funny with the whole brouhaha. This whole Binance, the way he was arrested, the way he was even treated. We saw videos of how he was being treated, how he was protesting of being treated badly, and now dropping the case.
All right. So a rather surprising headline here is the caption for me. It says, my breast hurting. Now this statement is credited to Idris Okuneye, popularly called Bob Risky.
Should we even be reading this?
Yeah, he's in the news. We got the update that he spent the night as the FCID, you know, after he was apprehended while trying to flee the country, I think to Benin Republic or so. And now he said his breast hurting. That's according to Bob Risky.
I still don't understand. Now, the charges against him has been dropped. The investigative panel said he was actually spent a...
But they said he's still a person of interest.
So what is it that they're keeping from us?
Well, you can get more details on why that is happening to him on page 6, Vanguard newspaper. Mixed reactions as federal government scraps Niger Delta ministry. A lot of riders. There's been a lot of rejigging. Yesterday, we saw the update about how the bill to split Oyo State into 2 states passed second reading. And a lot of, when I saw it, I was like, where is this what we need right now? You know, but we'll see how that pans out. Moving on, Edo APC Transition Committee raising false alarm over document. That's according to the government. We move very swiftly. Federal government gives Julius Berger 7 days ultimatum over Abuja Kaduna Road project. And lastly, sports page 30. Tinubu scraps sports ministry, appoints DICO NSC chairman. Get details on page 30 Vanguard newspaper. That wraps it up on the front page of the Vanguard.
All right, swiftly we'll move on to the Punch newspaper this morning. Just like Sarah read in the other newspaper, we still have the same caption on the Punch newspaper. It says, private sector and opposition split as Tinubu reshuffles cabinet. We have 2 writers to that story. It says, the organized private sector backs Tinubu as opposition. CSO and Nigerians demand sacking of more underperforming ministers. I like that. Well, this second writer says, President fires 5, appoints 7, reassigns 10 ministers as federal government merges and scraps ministry. Now, we have just beside the masthead, we have Makinde rally support for Ajayi, says election will shock APC. That's on page 43. There's this rumor that Governor Seyi Makinde might be running for president come 2027. I don't know how true that is, but let's see how that would pan out. Aiyedatiwa woos voters, declares PDP umbrella finally torn. Interesting. That's on page 43. Now, above this, we have Dangote Refinery begins direct petrol sales to marketers. Hooray. Well, now we hope that...
Would that actually make us see a drop in the... Because whatever will make me say hooray is if we see a crash, a sort of crash in the price of petrol. If it's selling directly to marketers, we're still buying at about 1,050 naira per litre. Most fuel stations are selling within that rate. And one of the surprising things is, in my area, okay, like the environment, there are a couple of NNPC fuel stations there, and for a couple of while, for some days now, they've not been selling fuel. Since this price, I can count the number of times they've actually opened to fuel stations to commuters rather and motorists to get fuel. So I'm just wondering if NNPCL doesn't even, their fuel stations are not selling, so you have to buy from independent marketers and is at a higher rate. Whatever will make me be excited means that the price is crashing. I
think this deregulated market might lead to competitiveness that might ultimately crash the price. You know, in reports earlier this week, marketers were even, Dangote threatened to sue the marketers and NPS because they were going to import fuel. So if they import fuel and sell, they would definitely might want to sell lower than Dangote. So competitiveness will bring down the price. Right. Let's move on. We have this one. This is quite shocking. It says 12 states delay 30,000 naira minimum wage for teachers. This is a report. 30,000 naira, not the 70,000 naira that has been approved. 30,000 naira, and you wonder, well, when our guest comes in. We'll move on. We have diasporan Nigerians get non-resident BVN platform December. This is coming from CBN boss himself, Yemi Cardoso. You can get more of that on page 36. And below that, you can see pictures of the new appointees, the ones that are going out, or the ones that have been out, and the ones that are coming in. Below that, we have Federal Executive Council, OK, $618 million loan for fighter jets and ammunition. Just days ago, IMF complained that Nigeria has gone beyond their borrowing. They are in so much debt, and we're still seeing these loans acquiring and all that piling up. Besides that, we have Canadian lady jailed 11 years for importing 35.20 kilograms of cannabis. That's on pages 4 and 5 of the Punch newspaper. And lastly, on your dam, Ogun communities reject Abiodun's relocation advisory. That's on pages 4 and 5. And I think that's all we have right now from the Punch newspaper.
Do not forget to be a part of the conversation. 0812-182-0154 is the number to call. Let's quickly take a look at the Daily Trust this morning. And the major caption here talks about the President's decision. Tinubu sacks 6 ministers, appoints 7 others, reassigns portfolios to 10. CSO have said cabinet still over bloated. Very true. Lean government workforce would cut weight. That's coming from ex-permanent secretaries. Will resist attempt to scrap Niger Delta Ministry. All of this, page 4, Daily Trust newspaper. Just above that, federal government gives Julius Berger ultimatum on Abuja-Kaduna-Kano Road. That's on page 6. Amidst tariff hike demand, consumers decry fast data depletion, poor connectivity. Yes, that's also on the Daily Trust, page 23. In health news, diphtheria kills 1,191 in 17 months. That's coming from the NCDC. Precautionary measures need to be taken there. Jigawa tanker explosion. We lost 50 relatives. The death toll keeps increasing every day, and it's very, very, it's a painful situation there. But that's on page 3. Federal government withdraws money laundering charges against Binance executive. We took that also on the Punch newspaper. External reserves hit $40 billion as Nigeria targets $1 billion monthly inflow. A33 has it. And lastly, Emir Sanusi to turban eldest son Chiro Makano. Congratulations to him. That's on page 32, Daily Trust. That wraps it up for the Daily Trust.
All right, we'll move on to the last newspaper, which is the Guardian newspaper this morning. Still on the Guardian newspaper, across all newspaper, cautious optimism over Tinubu's reshuffled cabinet and changes. That's on page 6. And of course, you can see the pictures of the new members who have been appointed. Just below that, we have another one. NUC, NCDMB, and others move to commercialize research and end capital flight. That's on news page 5 of the Guardian newspaper. Just below that, we have flood displays 5 million Nigerians in 10 years. You can get more of that story on news page 8. Below that, also, International Monetary Fund tasks Nigeria and other African governments on fiscal reforms and e-governance. That's on business page 21. We have just 3 more stories to go. This one, allow PDP breathe. It's quite interesting. Allow PDP breathe. Ologbondiyan tells Atiku and Wike. Quite interesting story. You can get more of that on page 3, news page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. We have this one. Diphtheria killed 1,191 persons in 17 months, says NCDC. That's on news page 3. We have this one. NBS, National Bureau of Statistics, says 82.2% of households... 85, I beg your pardon. 85.2% of households used estimated billing.
So that means this number has not been metered yet.
Yes, exactly. That means prepaid meters have not gone across the entire nation. It's quite interesting. And yet we have band A, band B, band C, and all that. Lastly, we have this one. It says federal government receives 350,000 applications versus 10 billion naira in student loans. So they received 350,000 applications and have disbursed so far 10 billion naira in student loan. We can get more of that story on Panorama, Panorama page 2 of the Guardian newspaper. And that wraps it up for the newspaper. But let's quickly go on a short break. And when we come back, we'll bring in our guest and talk more on the dailies. Please stay tuned.
Game save. Game save. Game save.
Welcome back to the second segment of the Newspaper Review. This is where we bring in our guest and we get talking. Don't forget you can also join the conversation. Call us, tell us what's happening in your area, or you can also join the conversation. The number is on your screen. Also, we are streaming on YouTube and on X at High Impact Studios. Right now, let's welcome Fawale Israel. He is a policy research and development expert. Good morning, Fawale.
Hi, good morning. How are you today?
I'm fine.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, let's have your, what came to your mind? What first came to your mind when you saw the sacking, of course, and also the reshuffling of the ministers?
So what came to my mind was Mr. President is working, and it shows that there is what do you call it? There is a plan. There is a what do you call it? A scoring, what do you call it? System in place. Because I mean, one of the reasons why Mr. President has sacked the ministers, is because of their scorecard was not meeting up with the strategic roadmap for Mr. President. And within 1 year, when their strategic roadmap is not mixing up with, what do you call it, the strategic plan, the goals, governance of Mr. President, I mean, there is need to reshuffle, what do you call it, the cabinet. So I think it's a welcome idea and it's a very good development from Mr. President.
All right, some people in some other newspapers, some people are even calling for more sacking. What's your thought on that too?
I mean, that's feedback. It means the government is listening. So if people are calling for more sacking, I mean, the government should listen because that is the essence of democracy. There should be governance feedback. And if the feedback from the people about some ministries, some performance of some ministers or ministries, or there are some impunities in some ministries, is not making sense, I think the government should listen to them. I mean, to what the people are saying and take proactive, measures to put the right, the right peg, in the square hole.
Right. We know that the Guardian newspaper has this. We know that after the subsidy was removed, the floating of the naira, there's been a lot of economic hardship in the country. Now, in what appears to be the first phase of implementing the Oronsaye report, I don't know if you've read about that report, President Tinubu, and part of this reshuffling and everything, abolished the Ministry of Sports Development and the Niger Delta Ministry, although some persons have come out to say they would ensure that the Niger Delta Ministry is not scrapped. And this move has, drawn a lot of criticisms from stakeholders and from different opposition parties and opposition bodies. Let's get your perspective to the President's first phase of implementing this Oronsaye report, abolishing, or would I say, abolishing the Niger Delta Ministry particularly, and what we should expect from that. Would this be a very easy move to make?
Oh, okay. So about the politics of the process, I think Mr. President and his cabinet will know how to undo it. But talking about the implementation of Oronsaye's report, like I said, it will not be a thing that will happen just as once. It will be it will be happening bit by bit. And for me, genuinely, I think I would applaud Mr. President for scrapping the Ministry of Niger Delta and making it a development commission ministry that will manage all the development commissions that we have across the country. It's a very beautiful and fantastic idea. And I think it is welcome. It will really help us to be able to track, the pace of our development at regional level. And we also have traceable records, traceable achievements. That this is what this ministry is doing. We have a minister who oversees the performance of each of the commissions. I think it's a very beautiful and fantastic, idea, rather than we having, because basically what they are doing in Niger ministry is also is development works, basically to look at the process and to facilitate development projects in the Niger Delta. And of course, we have other, other commissions that are doing the same work. So, I mean, it makes logic when you see people, trying to say, for political reasons or for personal, whatever they're saying, this will not be. So I think what Mr. President has done is very logical, and it's a very, very good thing for, for our country, because it's going to cost, a lot of cost, and also it's going to help us to be able to track the rate, the pace of work of developments across the socio-political zones. It's a very fantastic, fantastic step, and a very good one from Mr. President.
Right. You know, one of the calls that Nigerians have been making ever since the president got into office was to reduce the cost of governance, operate a lean government. With this sacking and reappointment and rejig of the entire cabinet at large, would we say that we're towing towards the path of operating a lean government? Even though I'm trying to get that exact paper now. Yeah, the Daily Trust puts it that CSOs have come out to say the cabinet is still over bloated, even with this sacking. Let's get your thoughts, since we're trying to work with a lean government to reduce the cost of governance.
Okay, so I don't understand what we mean by concept of a lean government. We need people with capacity, with knowledge and experiences to drive the affairs of governance at each unit, at each ministry. The president has his own strategic roadmap to developing, to achieving the goals he has for Nigeria. So if he so wishes that, oh, this person is very competent and could bring the needed, skills, he has the needed skill set and could bring the needed development to a ministry, let him so appoint, such individual and such person. So running a lean government is not dependent on who is appointed or who is not appointed. But of course, we all know from your report, it will really help us to reduce cost of governance. And the only thing we can do is to continue to remind, people in the helm of affairs, people who the president listens to, even through the media, that the president must be committed, must be sincere towards the implementation of the Orosonye's report. That's like the only most effective way for us to cut cost of governance. Yeah. So that's what I think. Thank you.
How would you respond to CSO, civil society organizations, that are saying, even with all of this, the cabinet is still over bloated?
So when they are saying it's over bloated, they should also say, how is it over bloated? They should be able to give data. They should be able to give evidences to uphold the claims. Somebody cannot just come and say, oh, the cabinet is over bloated. How? Why? What makes it over bloated? So there must be actionable. If
I may come in, from the Punch newspaper, President fired 5 and appointed 7. So there's 2 extra now that's been added.
Yes, that is in case of Ministry of Livestock, if I'm correct. Yeah. Ministry of Livestock. And you recall that Betta Edo had not been in office. Yeah. So there was a replacement for Betta Edo.
Okay.
Continue. You were making a point.
We all put the portfolio of the ministers that were sacked. Do we want to talk about, the gross advertisement of incompetencies by the Minister for Youth, Dr. Bio Jamila? Is that? Do we want to start from that? I want to start talking about the also serious groping incompetencies on the part of the outgone Minister of Education. I want to talk about the dramas that surround the Minister for Women Affairs or the other ministers we don't even know they exist. I mean, we can start talking about all of these things. They are not far-fetched from us. The data are everywhere. The reports are everywhere.
Right. We saw some sort of jubilation and excitement, particularly in regards to the Minister of Women Affairs and person of Barrister Uju Ken Ohane. Let's get you, because it was very, obvious. When I saw the video, people were really excited over her dismissal, her removal. Let's get your perspective on that exactly. Would we say that, okay, the president picked the brains or the thoughts of people, or let's get your thoughts on that particularly?
Okay, so sometimes, yeah, people's personal approach to addressing, problems and issues. I mean, we might not have control over their emotions, over their temperament, yeah. I would not, judge, our competencies, but I have seen a very, very, very blunt person who will say it as it is. And sometimes, the affair of leadership and governance sometimes require you to be, to be diplomatic. There was a day I was seeing one video where she went to, an event, and was telling them that what she wants people to do with the funding, with the grant they are getting, is to go to the streets and really make impact, not using millions of naira. I mean, when I mean millions of dollars, millions of naira, organizing trainings. How does this translate into impact? I mean, you can see somebody who is making an objective, point, but our approach, is it the best? Going to an event and interrupting, disrupting, a process that has already commenced? she has said what really makes sense, that, oh yes, you have 300 million naira, we have 700 million naira, and you are saying you are using it to organize a 7 days training for people who are already okay, people who have career clarity already, people who are really doing well in their career. When there are girls on the streets who doesn't even have what to eat, who doesn't even have the money to afford to go to school. I mean, that makes a lot of sense that, okay, this money you have, this funding you have should be translated into impact and touch lives of the commoners, not organizing trainings where, I mean, these things don't end. She made a lot of sense. But what was our approach?
All right,
So
Fawole.
these are issues.
I like us to move away from that a bit, and let's look at this headline from Punch newspaper. The Federal Executive Council has okayed $618 million loan for fighter jets and ammunition. This comes just days after the International Monetary Fund said that Nigeria's debt is too high. We've gone overboard. How do you respond to this? Why are we still, it's like we keep borrowing at every turn, every month, every week, we keep borrowing.
It is a very sad thing that, I mean, we run a country that is blessed as Nigeria on loan. I mean, it's not a good thing that every small thing we need to do, we borrow to fund security, to fund health, to fund education. It's a very unfortunate thing. But I want to genuinely believe that Mr. President's economic recovery plan over time will yield results. I genuinely want to believe that.
Right.
I mean, over time would yield results.
All right. So, but how are we going to be able to pay these loans? That's what matters the most. That's the most important thing. Borrowing these loans to fix the economy, fine. But how are we going to pay it back? Because over time, we've seen different administration come in and meet huge amount of debt. I mean, different governors have complained that they met different amount of debt in their.
But let's quickly take
this call. Michael from Abuja. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning. Hi, sir.
Fine.
Please share your thoughts.
Hello.
Hello, we can hear you. Please go on. Please share your thoughts.
Okay, I want to ask the guest analyst, talking about cutting down the cost of governance and appointing the reason factors of their duties. Can Nigeria ever cut down the cost of governance without going to the National Assembly, the stating allowances, what they earn, wardrobe allowances, and all of that? Can we cut down the cost of governance without touching this area? Or is it too maybe something that cannot be touched by the president? Because I don't think ministers, you are dropping 5, you are 47, and you are saying we are cutting down the cost of governance. And we have National Assembly who's sitting allowance per month is even more than to feed 20 Nigerians.
Right. Thank you
Is
so
that
much.
how to cut down the cost of governance?
Thank you, Michael.
I just want to know.
All right, thank you. So Israel Fawole, I don't know if you heard Michael's question, so you can respond to it. He's talking about the emoluments and the benefits that those at the helm of affairs, our senators, our ministers, are receiving: hardship allowance, newspaper allowance, entertainment allowance, and what have you. Why don't we start from there in terms of cutting down costs of governance? So let's get your response to that.
So talking about all of these things, I mean, it makes no sense that a senator is getting newspaper allowance, getting wardrobe allowance, getting hardship allowance. I mean, it makes no sense, literally. But anybody who is in the National Assembly, who has the interest here of the country and of the people he or she is representing, can voluntarily say, no, I'm not collecting this money. I mean, it is possible.
We've never seen anything like that happen. So how is that going to come to the fore?
Yeah, so each and every one of us have, I mean, we belong to a particular political setting. I mean, either from the state, from the local government, and all of those things. So we should all start from our local government during electioneering campaigns. These are issues we should raise. I mean, these are some of the problems during electioneering processes. When we have people aspiring for offices, these are problems we have. These are issues we should raise with the aspirant. Oh, these are the issues that we feel is not making sense. We have seen, I mean, the past government done this. Would you be able to do this? Can you assure us that when you get there, you will do this? And all of, so these are processes that we need to start during our
Israel
electionary...
Fawale, wouldn't I say that this is very easy to say because it's not being practiced yet? Just about 6 days ago, we had a senator in person of Senator Orji Uzor Kalu, who came out to say it takes about 14 million monthly, and it's not even enough for him. So how do you now, you know, say that somebody like that would listen and say, okay, I'm not taking this benefit, I'm not taking this and that? We're operating in a system where it feels like that's the foundation. I don't know how possible is it for these people to say, I don't want to take this, I don't want to take that. Sometimes they say if you cannot beat them, you join them. Isn't that what we see in most of these cases?
Oh, okay, so this is why I was referring to the participation of people also being able to come out and say, let me say this, some of the problems we have, political issues we have, are born out of another injustices. You see, when there is a political office holder, the request that comes from the community, that is the time the mosque, the church, the secondary school, the community will know that they have somebody and they'll be making, you know, do I call it unnecessary political demand? And these are political liabilities, you know, on the part of this, let us be sincere, on its office holders. I mean, for them to continue to be relevant, they have to start managing these political liabilities that comes with for them, which were originally not there before they got into public office. So, and that is why some of these fundings is used to actually also, let's be honest with this, it's also being used to manage political liabilities that comes with being in an office. Right. You see, an honorable will go and eat in a puka, and because he's an honorable, people see him as an honorable, they feel, oh, he should pay for their food because he's an honorable. But if he was not holding that same office, he would go with his family to a puka to eat amala, and nobody will feel compared, or nobody will feel that guy is stingy. He's an honorable, he's not spending money for us. All right. I don't know if that makes some sense to you. So these are injustices that are social, yeah? They are born out of another injustices.
All right, Israel, I would like to ask you 2 questions. The first one, I'm sure you've heard about this, the bill of splitting Oyo into 2, Oyo and Ibadan into 2. It passed second reading. What's your thought about that? Then secondly, this rather shocking headline from the Punch, 12-state delay 30,000 naira minimum wage for teachers. 30,000, we're not even talking 70,000. How would you react to these 2 questions?
So the idea that teachers are not even well paid in Nigeria is a very unfortunate thing. It is really, really, really unfortunate. It is really, really, really unfortunate. And any serious government must take into cognizance the welfare of our workers, especially the teachers, because they are the ones who build the future of tomorrow. The quality of investments we have in our teachers is what determines the quality of education, the quality of students that we have. I mean, we saw what Lateef Jakonde did in Lagos. He invested in the quality of teachers, their welfare, and look at the results we have. And that was what Soludo was saying the other day. It is not about investing and building schools and giving students books. It's also about investing in the teachers. So I think governments at state level, at local government level, at federal level should be very intentional to invest heavily, in teachers. Saying that this is how much you'll be paying teachers is really unfortunate. That's 30,000 naira in this present day economy. I mean, it is really unfortunate.
Right.
So I think that should be looked into by the state and relevant stakeholders.
Right. Just before we wrap up the conversation, earlier, not too long ago, 70,000 naira was approved as the minimum wage, of which we've seen 2 states for now, which is Lagos and Rivers, go above that 70,000 naira. And earlier, we had a statement, I'm trying to remember her name, where they talked about people that do not pay their workers the 70,000 naira. It was coming from the federal government, could risk jail term. How about we start from the governors and the state governments that are not paying 70,000 naira or are still owing 30,000 naira? How should they be, if I could use the word, dealt with, or what kind of punishment can be put in place for these states to ensure that everybody is working within the law of 70,000 naira that has been approved?
Thank you. So that is where the labor union comes in. They have struggled, they have the judiciary to run to when the governors are not complying with with what has been said. So the labor union have a lot of work to do. They must continue to maintain the integrity of what those unions are supposed to be. They're not supposed to be political stooges on that government.
But people have lost hope. People have lost hope in labor unions, saying that the NLC has been compromised, and they don't even believe that NLC is fighting for their own interest. So how would this balance up?
So I mean, people should take actions. I mean, how do they take actions? Right, National Assembly, follow up with demonstrations and protests where necessary, right, the Attorney General of the country, call attention of necessary relevant stakeholders, National Assembly, who is supposed to oversee, implementation of what the law should be, their lawmakers, implementation. So there should be good rapport between the people, the legislative arm of government, the judiciary, and the executive arm of government. And you know, one of the issues that we have genuinely is that how do I put this in Nigeria? We don't, I don't know how to put it. Our governors or our political officers, when they are coming into office, they don't come with any solid manifesto, and we try to hold them by is that, oh yeah, you said you are going to do this and you didn't come. Look at the US, for example. I mean, the policies they are going to do, these are at the point of debate. But I mean, like political process here, through electionary processes, how many people even sit down to talk about the intellectual processes and the implementation strategies for the policies they have in mind? Just come and they do things, haphazardly and how they want. There's a VUCA war. We know that. However, sometimes, why did I use the word VUCA? Sometimes before you get into office, you might be saying some things, and after you get into office, another reality. Yeah. What a normal person or a normal leader should do, right, is to call a meeting, call relevant stakeholders. This is the direction of things. It will take us, so we have looked at this. In 6 months, we thought we'd be able to do this, but however, 6 months is not enough for us. Within 1 year, we'll be able to do this. We need cooperation of relevant stakeholders. So one of the things we lack is, don't know if it's sacrifice, if it's all being intentional about our own development, but the people must be conscious.
Right.
It is enough that the people are dormant in their own political process, in their own development process. So people must be conscious and take relevant actions. I mean, a lot of channels are there for people to register their displeasure about governance activity, right, national level and judiciary level. Thank you.
So we're talking about a high sense of consciousness from the people, the citizens. That's a fantastic place to wrap up the conversation this morning. Thank you so much for joining us, Israel Fawole. It's been a delight and a pleasure speaking with you today. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
Bye. All right, that is where we wrap up this segment. On the newspaper review, we've taken a look at the papers, and we've also had our guests, analyze some of these headlines and the take home. But just before we go, let's quickly take this call. Hello, good morning. Are you there? Good morning. All right. I think our producers are still trying to patch the call through. But one thing that does it for me is the consciousness. Israel said it, that we all need to come to that point where we are conscious and we deliberately take it. But at the same time, when we've experienced some sort of apathy, we just lose hope. But let's take our call. Thank you for calling. Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from? Good morning.
My name is Tio. I'm calling from River State.
Tio from River State, please go and share your thoughts.
I want to come in respect of the minimum wage.
Okay.
There's a place I fail to understand, and I need someone to educate me.
All right, please go on.
If the financial autonomy is holding, would the state or local government still hold the workers?
If the what? Can you take that again? Theo, can you take that again?
If the financial autonomy, will take place based on the new law.
The local government autonomy.
Who pay the workers?
I'm not picking your question very well, Theo.
Okay. In respect of the 70,000 minimum wage.
Yeah.
Okay.
If the financial autonomy is holding, the local government autonomy holds, the local government autonomy holds, who pay the workers? Is it the federal government or the state or the local government?
Okay.
So that place, I need somebody to clear me.
All right. Thank you for calling, Theo. We'll respond to your question. I really wish that Theo called in just before we had Fawole, but just before we wrapped up the conversation with Fawole, so Theo is asking, if local government have been given financial autonomy,
yes,
who is responsible for paying the 70,000 naira minimum wage to workers in the state?
I think that if it's local government autonomy, and the local government autonomy basically means the fund is coming directly from the federal government to the local government. It doesn't pass through the state governor and back to the. So I think it should come from the federal government. I stand to be corrected. I think that should be it.
Well, let's quickly take Michael before we continue this conversation. Thank you for calling, Michael.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
The question I wanted to ask, just unfortunately get analysis of now. I want to ask, I just checked, we have 360 House of Rep members. And we have 109 senators in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Almost doing the same thing to me. Is there any need for this number? Or is there any need for the two houses working at the same time?
Right.
And you are a president trying to cut down the cost of governors, and all of this in a thing existing.
All right.
We have governors who are flying our road for how many cars on their escort. Wearing those cars. We have, a few days ago, we have how many, the amount of senators in Abuja that said they found out drugs and all of that. How many people are working under him as a senator on the payroll?
Right. That's a very big question there.
All of this.
Right. Thank you, Michael. Thank you for your question. Michael is still, talking about the amount of money that those at the green chamber, the red chamber, spend in terms of even their escorts, their families, purchasing cars, vehicles, fueling those cars. How about we start from there? But it's important to know that to answer Theo from Rivers and Michael from Abuja, we'll be hopping on this conversation with a guest, that can give us a broader understanding as to how this can be properly managed so that we solve, if possible, solve that problem.
And if I may add, he asked the question, why 370?
And why 109 senators?
Yes, each of these representatives, they represent different constituencies. Now, except you don't want your constituency to be represented, well, you might say you don't need them.
But that's his question. Sure. Why do we have to have it in such large numbers? Isn't there a possibility of a merger or something to just reduce the cost of governance? That's the angle Michael is coming from.
But I think this is where we'll wrap up the newspaper review. It's been quite an interesting one. But stick around, we still have a whole lot more coming up on the Breakfast Cafe after the short break.
Welcome back to the Breakfast Cafe. Now, this is the segment that we call Views from the Net, and we draw out a question and get you to send in your comment, your contribution, and also call in to share your thoughts. And today, the question is, what is the most embarrassing thing someone has done to you in the presence of another person? You know, we have a couple of comments here, but do well to call us. 0812-182-0154 is the number to call. What is the most embarrassing thing someone has done or said to you in the presence of another person? If you use side, if you like, use side eye to look at me. I'm sure you already know where I'm headed. So let's hear it. Let's hear it. Come on.
I'm still trying to think. I think one of them is, it's quite embarrassing. I remember there was a time when my mom was still, you know, it was quite funny actually. She caught me toasting a girl, and the embarrassment that followed was quite interesting. So
Ouch, ouch. I can just imagine. And you were trying to form steez and, you know, all of that.
she actually slapped me, and it was quite embarrassing.
Mommy, why? You know,
So it was quite interesting. She was only looking out for me. She thought I was still very young, too young. I was, you know, to be going after
you too,
that.
why will you go and be toasting a girl at your tender age? It reminds me of a video I've been seeing on social media about a particular boy in church. He was seated beside a very pretty lady.
Yes.
And I think he was trying to, you know, toast her.
Yes.
He gave her his phone to put her phone number or something. Next thing, I think the mom is an usher or something.
Yeah.
The mom just appears, pulls his ear, snatches the phone and puts money in his hand for offering. I can just imagine the kind of embarrassment that guy would have. He would pray for the ground to open, you know, and just swallow it. Because what? Imagine when you're trying to catch that babe you've been eyeing for a very long time. Your mother just comes out. The part where she even squeezed offering into his hand. Nah.
And it didn't stop there. She told the lady to put, she said, "Feiti ekosalo," that is, put your hands on your ear and run. It was really embarrassing.
Well, let's quickly see what people have to say. Let's take Ose from Ikeja. Ose says, I was called out by the WAEC official of my school while sitting for an exam for lying to my proprietress about him offering preferential treatment to those who paid for assistance. This must have been very embarrassing, being called out while you're writing an exam.
Yes, this next one is quite interesting. I think I found myself in this kind of situation. This is Triumph from Abuja. It says, being in the presence of someone who can't read the room, especially when they start dishing out stuff that they are meant to be secret.
Well, I think
that is when you start to...
Misyan. That's what they call
Jabo.
it. You start to misyan when you're not supposed to misyan.
Exactly.
Okay. But I think we have a call. Thank you for calling again, Michael. Kindly turn down the volume of your TV set so we can have a smooth conversation. We're getting feedback.
Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Please go on.
Okay, I will say that it's just like Odubide said, it's confiding. Although mine was not my mother, it was my two elder brothers. We were staying in like an open compound then. We have about how many tenants in that house. I was working under my brother. I went out for business and I came back, and when I was going out, this lady was just a friend. And he told me the younger sister birthday was that day. I said, no, you know, my kind of business with my brother, I cannot come for your younger sister's birthday. But though, if I have the chance in the evening, I will come. So I will not make it. The lady sent a neighbor that came from our compound, sent the food and drink. Okay, help me give this person where you get to, since he was not able to come. So the woman brought the food home and gave to my elder brother. So this lady said, I should give to your brother. Oh, so this guy has been keeping girlfriend with my money. So he's taking his same money now. I came back. He innocent me just entered the house. Without any question, the next thing I received was slap.
Wow.
I thought to the other guys, why did you slap me? Him too, he gave me slap.
Wow.
And before you know it, those guys, the two of them beat me to the extent that blood was coming up from my nose because a lady sent food to keep for me. I was using their money to
toast a woman, have a girlfriend
and all of that. So I was so embarrassed. I was beaten like a common criminal because of a girl brought food to keep for me. They even ask questions if I was having anything to do with this person because I'm under their money, their business, I'm the one in charge. I'm using their money. But today, I have my house. I can welcome anybody, but I cannot forget that incident that night.
Right. Thank you so much, Michael. And we're so sorry you had to experience that kind of embarrassment. You know, one of the things I like that Michael said is the fact that today he has his own house. He can invite anybody he wants. He went through that phase, but after going through that phase, he was able to develop and build himself. And I'd like to state this to our parents, our guardians, our older siblings. You know, I understand that we're trying to look out for us, you know, and the younger generation and all of that. You're trying to look out for your siblings, your children, your nieces and your nephews. But it's important to also understand situations before taking actions. You know, let's not just react. And sometimes our parents feel remorseful after these things when they now find out the truth. And because they cannot say sorry, they will now come and offer you food with drink. They tell you to go and bring your cup. Let them pour cold mineral for you. That's their way of telling you sorry. Or they'll go out and on a normal day they don't buy you sweets, but this day they buy you sweets and you're permitted to take sweets. That day you're like, why? Because they will not say sorry. Where we are coming from, they will not tell you sorry. They will just, or they'll prepare a very nice meal and give you 2 pieces of meat and you're like, I'm not daddy, or I'm not, why you? So it's important that our parents, our siblings, let's understand things. Let's have conversation. Okay, what's happening? You know, if I'm in that situation and you do that to me, if somebody now actually comes to trust me, or I won't tell you about it because I know that you will beat the hell out of me when all I probably need is guidance and counsel.
Exactly.
Right.
Let's take this next one. This one says, the most embarrassing thing someone has done to me was when I was told I have a big tummy in the presence of my crush. It was really embarrassing. Iwinosa from Benin.
Oh
wow!
People should learn to know when to keep quiet. Not everything you should say in front of people. Just keep quiet.
I remember there was a time we were going for fellowshipping, or what do you call it, fishing. Where my church people were going to share flyers and inviting people to church. So I saw a couple of my friends in school, in secondary school. They were just hanging out, and you could tell that these guys are bad boys. You know. So I was acting all holy. And one of them was like, you know, can't join us. I felt
in front of your church members.
In front of my church members.
You know, okay, for me, so it wasn't like someone said anything or did anything to me. My mom, I think I've said it here a couple of them. My mom used to sell food, you know, and she used to sell food close to my school. It had its advantages and disadvantages. When I was much younger, it didn't really matter because she used to send my teacher to bring food for me and everything. It was a very short distance. But when I grew older, I had made friends in the estate, and these are friends that travel out of the country. I shared my experience about bicycle. I think it was with Vivian. It was one of them that had the bicycle. So they were, you know, very wealthy and all of that. And I was on this long break. I think the period where you, either you want to enter just one, there's this break, or long-term break. And my sister was not around because my sister used to assist my mom. My mom's sales girl, I think she fell ill. So my mom said I would carry the food on my head to her store. I was like, me. And I had to pass the house of these people. It's not just one person. They were staying in like very gigantic buildings and everything. And I kept praying that, Lord, the moment I'm passing, let them just be in their houses. Let them not come outside to say they want to play or ride bicycle. But guess what? They were outside. And I carried the rice on my head. I carried something else in my hand, and I was good. Funny enough, they didn't say anything. They didn't, because they know my mom, you know. They didn't say anything. They didn't make jest of me, but I was embarrassed. I saw them playing. I was like, I'm supposed to be playing. You know. I saw them playing, laughing with their bicycle ball and everything. And they were even calling me to greet me. I just acted like I didn't hear. But later I had to just, you know, it was very embarrassing for me. But when I look back at it now, I'm like, okay, if we see each other now, we are like, okay, what's happening and all of that. Well, at that point, it was very embarrassing, I must say. But let's quickly take this. This is Bello from Ogba. Bello says, my landlord shouted and threatened to arrest me because I connected the building light, after which it was disconnected by IKEDC officials. Why did you can't connect it without telling your landlord, or without your landlord?
Trying to put your landlord in trouble.
I can imagine your landlord shouting at you. People that think you're owing rent.
Exactly. Now, this next one says, as I reflect on embarrassing moments, I realize that vulnerability is key to growth. When we are willing to take a risk and be ourselves, we open ourselves up to potential embarrassment. However, this vulnerability also allows us to form deeper connections and learn valuable lessons. By embracing our imperfection, we can transform embarrassment into empowerment. Damilola from
Thank you for the
Mushin.
motivation.
Thank
But
you
you
for
not
the
tell us your most
motivation.
embarrassing moment. Just before we take this next comment here, this next comment made me remember this. I was in SS2. Yeah, I think I was in SS2. And we had this spelling bee competition, and I was very good at it. So I enrolled, I applied and everything. And I made it to the final stage, and we're supposed to do the final stage on the assembly ground. And after people failed, we're now 2. And the second person was my junior. Her brother was in my set, but he was in science or accounting, but I was an art student. So it was like, okay, my sister is the one, last man standing. She was my junior. And I was so confident that I wouldn't allow my junior win on assembly. You know, it was a general assembly. I think I've shared this story before. And the winner was going to be the principal for one day.
Wow.
Yeah, with a cash prize, I think 10,000 naira or something. But I wanted to be that principal for one day, and considering the fact that I will not allow my junior chop my steez. So I ironed my uniform, everything. I was looking so sharp, and we're just 2 left. And they gave me a word. And you know these words where one letter is silent, like onomatopoeia, where you know it, but there's just, and that was how I missed it. And that was how this girl won. And guess what? I cried on the assembly. Oh no, I can never forget. I was crying, and my friends had to, you know, come and say, what's going on in SS2? She's your junior. I said, it's because she's my junior. I cried. I was so embarrassed, and her brother was excited because why would he be? And she became the one-day principal, and you know, it was very sad and painful for me. I cannot forget the fact that I cried. I was embarrassed.
All right, let's move on. This next one. Okay,
yeah.
we're going to take this one.
Okay, I think this is the comment that made me share my experience. Kayode from Egbeda says, one of the most embarrassing moments I experienced was during a group presentation in college. I was so nervous that I accidentally mixed up my notes and started talking about a completely different topic. My classmates tried to hold back their laughter, and I could feel my face turning red as I struggled to get back on track. It was a humbling experience, but it taught me the importance of preparation and staying calm under pressure. Thank you so much, Kayode.
I remember when I was in Sunday school, back then in Sunday school, it happened like regularly. Our Sunday school teacher used to use me and a couple of my friends as bad examples when preaching. So when he's talking about don't go to parties like some people do, we already knew it was us. It was quite embarrassing those days. Let's move to the next one. This is Omoyemi from Yaba Tech. It says, I once tripped off on stage during a presentation. Mortifying, but it taught me resilience. I learned to laugh at myself and move forward. Embarrassment can be a catalyst for growth, forcing us to confront our fears and develop coping strategies. Now, by reframing embarrassment as a learning experience, we can build confidence and perseverance. I like that. I like how he laughed at himself, so it will help him, you know, get over that embarrassment really quick.
All right, let's take Steve from Aja. Steve says, I once went to a friend's wedding, and during the reception, I tripped while trying to show off my dance moves. Ooh. I fell right in front of the bride and groom, and everyone stopped to look at me. At first, I was mortified, but then I decided to laugh it off and turned it into a silly dance move. The crowd loved it, and it ended up being one of the highlights of the night. It reminded me that sometimes embracing the awkwardness can turn a cringe-worthy moment into something memorable. I like the fact that I was able to take advantage of that situation. I said, you know what? I'm going to turn this into something. And nice one, Steve. Thank you.
All right, this next one says, in high school, I was giving a speech about a book I had read. I was so passionate that I was so passionate about it that I got carried away and started quoting lines from a completely different book. And my teacher raised an eyebrow, and my classmates exchanged confused glances. I realized my mistake halfway through and had to backtrack. It was embarrassing. It also taught me the importance of knowing my material well and staying focused during presentation. This is Susan from Covenant University.
Right, thank you, Susan. But let's quickly take Sheyi from Ibadan. Sheyi says, I was at a restaurant with friends when I confidently ordered a dish I had never tried before. Wow. When it arrived, I realized I had no idea how to eat it. I fumbled with the utensils, making a mess and drawing attention to myself. My friends were supportive, but I felt embarrassed that I struggled to figure it out. It was a reminder that it's okay to try new things, even if you don't know exactly how to handle them at first. I will not try it.
Definitely. Or better to try it at home.
I would, yeah, try it at home. I found myself in that kind of situation. I traveled somewhere and they brought a dish and it looked like something that I know if I eat, I will not recover for 2 months. And I just said, you know what, no. I went back to my apartment and ate what I knew that I was comfortable with. I'm not going to, that's why when I go for events or anything at all, even if it's a buffet or serve yourself, I would always take what I know.
All right, this is Grace from Lagos. Grace says, I was attending a formal dinner when I accidentally spilled my drink all over the table. The liquid splashed everywhere and I felt my heart drop as everyone turned to look at me. I quickly grabbed napkins to clean up, trying to play it cool, but I was mortified. In the end, the host made a joke about it, which lightened the mood, and I realized that everyone has clumsy moments.
Very
Grace
true.
From Lagos.
Because of our time, we'll take this last comment. This is John from Jos. John says, during a game night with friends, I was trying to impress everyone with my trivia knowledge. I confidently answered a question wrong, and my friends couldn't help but tease me about it. I laughed it off, but inside, I felt embarrassed for overestimating my knowledge. It was a good reminder that it's okay to not have all the answers, and that sometimes it's better to enjoy the moment rather than worry about being right. Thank you, John.
Excellent. I think that's a very good one. And I think this is where we'll wrap up Views from the Net. But stick around, we still have a whole lot more coming up on the Breakfast Cafe after this short break.
Do you know bad production can kill a great content idea?
Do you want to have a photo shoot, audio production, or do you need a professional voiceover artist?
Do you simply want unmatched cinematography, video production, or just event coverage, such as weddings, birthdays, or burials?
Or do you need a space for meetings or conferences? All these are possible with High Impact Studios. Don't bring down your creativity, let's help you take it high.
And out of this world with our state-of-the-art equipment and first-class studio space.
We give you the quality you deserve at the best rate.
For more details, call 0706 393 5694 or 0915 958 1881. High Impact Studios, the future.
Welcome back if you're just joining us. This is the Breakfast Cafe, and this is where we open up a discussion. Of course, we allow you to also take part in the discussion. You can call our phone lines. Now, the topic for today, though, this morning is mitigating insecurity in the nation, a joint effort between the government and her citizens. And of course, before we bring in our guest, I'd like to give you a backstory into the topic of today. So let me start off. Mitigating insecurity in a nation requires a collaborative approach, blending governmental policies with active citizen participation. Now, the government holds a central role in implementing effective security measures, such as strengthening law enforcement, intelligence gathering, and ensuring justice system function effectively. However, these effects alone cannot address all aspects of insecurity, which often stems from complex social, economic, and political factors. Citizens, therefore, play a crucial role in enhancing national security through community vigilance, reporting suspicious activities, and fostering a sense of collective responsibility. They complement governmental effort. Additionally, promoting education, job creation, inclusive policies can help reduce the root causes of insecurity. Now, this partnership between the government and its citizens is essential for creating a safer and more resilient society. I'd like to welcome our guest. He is Oluwafemi Aratokun Ale. He is a security consultant. It's always refreshing to have you back again in the studios. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Nigeria. Good morning to everyone.
Good morning. Thank you for joining.
All right, so
thank you so much.
Thank you very much. The topic is mitigating insecurity. Insecurity. We will never stop talking about it until we get it right. So let me start by asking, what are the primary causes of insecurity in a nation, and how can the government address them effectively?
Thank you so much, High Impact, for bringing me on board for this very program, which is equally a very hot topic, very sensitive, that a lot of people need to be aware of what is going on, not only in Nigeria, but across board all over the world. Insecurity, we keep talking about insecurity, but the question is this: how well are we working towards mitigating down this insecurity that we have in our nation today? Yes, the government can talk tough and bring out a whole lot of blueprints into what could be the best way out, but are we working it? If we're not working it, then what is responsible, or what is the root cause of us not tackling it or winning the side of the game?
Right. Okay, so, you know, they talk about this thing where they say, oh, citizens have to participate. We also have a role to play in fighting insecurity, report crimes, report suspicious activities. But beyond reporting crimes or suspicious activities, which some people are skeptical about because of their own safety as well, how can citizens better contribute to improving national security beyond these two areas?
Thank you so much for that question. Again, I'll say it and I'll keep on saying it. We have two departments, or let me say about 3 or 4 departments within the arms of Nigerian government that can collaborate together and work alongside with the community and citizens as well. Number one, we have the National Office of the Presidency, we have the Defense, and we equally have what we call the National Orientation Department. This is the department that is actually meant to filter a lot of things to the citizens and to let them understand what is going on. Nevertheless, a lot of community states are now beginning to bring up what you call different kind of community security strategies, that would definitely work for them. But we have different situation in our hands today, and the situation is this: we can talk on it, but we're not actually working on it. And at the same time, real platform has really not been given to citizens to equally participate. Why am I saying that? How many of our officers do you see on the road with proper, well-kitted equipment to tackle menace in our society? How many of our societies can actually vouch that they go around to leak or give information to the police or to all the security agencies that's not going to come back to them? Because the question is going to be, how do you know about this? How do you know about that? So that means you might probably be involved in it. So at the end of the day, majority of Nigerian citizens will definitely keep mute, or just don't say anything, or move or shy away from it. So these are key elements of what we need to talk about, and these are the reasons why the security agents that we have in Nigeria, which is the police, the civil defense, the man of war, and the rest, are actually not doing enough. Not because they don't know what to do, but where are the information to work with this question?
All right, thank you very much. Now, in the southwest, we have the Amotekun. I think in the east, we have the Ebubegu Agu, if I'm correct. Ebube Agu. And I think in the north, we have something like that. So my question now is, what role does community policing play in fostering cooperation between the government and citizens?
Let me say it this way. I am always in Nigeria. I've just been in Nigeria recently to actually understand what the situation is. I equally have been part of the security network, which is the Amotekun, the Nigerian police, the civil defense, and many more, the man of wars, and other security related agencies that we have in Nigeria. What they are saying is this: they can tackle this situation, but their welfare is equally a problem. Not only the welfare is what we're talking about. When we talk about the welfare, do we have discounted stores for them whenever they're actually on duty at the moment? Let us take a cue from this angle. If they go to, let's say, Chicken Republic or any stores, do we give them discount whenever they buy things? They need to have some kind of incentive that will say, yes, we are working for the community and the government is equally responsible in taking care of us. They want to lay down their lives to make sure that things work well for Nigerian citizens. But are we equally doing the same on their part? These are key questions we need to look into. Again, let us look at their salary rate, their wages, their insurance, how well protected are all these to make sure that things just work for them, and whatever things work for them will definitely work for us. Yes, we can talk about corruption and malpractice and a whole lot of things, but some key elements are responsible for that. Those responsible, have we actually been putting them into the right senses and give them the tougher sentence of justice they deserve? These are things we're actually begging the government to do. But is the government doing the right thing now? Is what I don't understand. Right. Recently, don't forget, the Nigerian police went to US for some kind of conferences and summits. When they come back to Nigeria, are they coming back to give us something better compared to what we have in Nigeria today? These are questions we equally need to have, because it's all over the social media. They were there, pictures were seen in a very good and conducive environment. But the question is, do we have such enabling and conducive environment in Nigeria?
You know, that's where I'm going to take you up on in my next question, talking about an enabling and conducive environment. I recall a couple of years back when the Lagos State government, you know, scrapped operation of motorcycles, popularly called Okada, in some locations. One of the major concerns after doing a survey of residents was how it might increase crime rate and insecurity because these people will not have what to do. Now, what ways can the government improve in economic and social development that can help us reduce or mitigate insecurity in the long term? Because if you take what people say, oh, the economy is hard, there's no social development, so I'm just going to do whatever I find my hands to do, which might also fall into the area of crime. So how can this be better worked on to reduce and manage insecurity?
Thank you so much for this question. A lot of things, just like I said, can be well managed in Nigeria. A lot of agencies, a lot of agents are ready to work in Nigeria. But when they bring back all these solutions to the government, what do they do with it? When they bring back all these ideas that might probably work better, what are they doing with it? When they bring back all these issues that is faced with them, the citizens, the community, who are those responsible to make sure that there's feedback trickling back to the community? Those are things we all need to look into. We have equally begged the government for a long time. Let us find a different strategy that will work. We have shortage of police officers. We have shortage of civil defense officers. And we equally have what we call the shortage and the lack of trust within the government to do the right thing. So who do we blame? Who do we focus on? Who do we push our agendas, our ideas to that? Look, this is the situation we find ourselves. The security are working, everyone is doing their best, but we're not seeing results. The result we're not seeing is because corruption is the order of the day in Nigeria. It's as simple as that. If we take corruption out of it today, things will work better. Let me give you a different example. Look at the neighborhood safety corps that we have in Lagos State today. Do you see them patrolling the streets? Do you see them patrolling the beats? Do you actually see them engaging with the community? Brother, where are you going to find them? By the traffic lights, helping the lawman and helping the last mile police and the traffic warden. So how does that work? How does that equate to exactly what they're actually being given as a mandate to work with? So these are issues we're actually facing today in the country that is not even right at all.
All right, thank you very much. So now, how can the government, how can they ensure that its security measures do not infringe on the rights and freedom of citizens?
It's a very simple thing to do. Let us have what we call the security customer service. Not just security training, not just security, investigative, and whatsoever. What we do need in Nigeria today is what we call the security customer service. That gives a very good idea into how we engage with the member of the public, what message we need to give to them, how they can actually report back in, with full checks that yes, nothing is going to happen if I give out this information. These are the things we need, which is what we call the openness and security mitigation and the strategies. Do we have that in place? If we do have that in place, then things will be working well for us in Nigeria today.
Right. One of the things that we used to look at is collaboration. Very important. All the forces, all the bodies coming together. But away from normal strategies, are there extra strategies? You're a security expert. Are there extra strategies beyond the mere eyes that can be used to promote trust and collaboration between law enforcement agencies and local communities? Okay, let's hear the strategies.
There are so much. There are so many strategies we can actually use that will definitely work, that the eyes cannot even see, and this is where the technology now comes into play. But with the technology coming into play, do we have the backup recovery in case if anything should happen or crash or something is hacked or whatever? We need to look into all this. So the back end of what we can do is we need to improve more and work more and train more on intelligence gathering. Not just intelligence gathering, but how we process and how we dish out this intelligence gathering to members of the public and to the security agencies. If we don't do all this, we will have a problem. Don't let us forget, we have what we call the criminal science students within some schools, which is called the criminology students. Have we been engaging with them? If we've not been engaging with them, then what is the NSA doing? If we've not been engaging with them, what is the IG doing? If we've not been engaging with them, what is the civil defense doing? If we've not been engaging with them, what is the man of war doing? In this case, we have to look at it this way. Let us bring in the citizenship and learning curve into everyone so that we know exactly what we're doing. If we have the COP members coming down to do their orientation, let us teach them certain things that will definitely help the community rather than just going around parading and doing parade and left, right, center stuff. It doesn't work for us in Nigeria anymore because the crime rate, the rate at which.
Aratoko, are you there? Wow.
Perhaps, if I may remind you, don't let us forget, there's another key department that we keep forgetting when it comes to this insecurity and how to mitigate it. There's the National Union of Road Transport Workers. They have a lot of information. I know that for a fact. But we've refused to engage with them. Rather, we just neglect them. We've seen them as not part of the system. Meanwhile, they're actually doing so much, investing so much, and at the same time, delivering so much to the member of the public in Nigeria. So they shouldn't at all times, be looked out for that. We don't need you. We don't want to see you. Just do your job. But they have key information that can actually help the federal government, the state government, and the local community as well.
All right. Now, I remember you talked about the security agencies not having enough equipment and all that. And just this morning, on the Punch newspaper, the Federal Executive Council has okayed $618 million loan for fighter jets and ammunition. So my question is, do you think that with this loan being approved, we would see any changes? And also, what about the Tucano jets that were acquired during the administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari? What happened? How effective has that been?
Well, you see, we have levels of threats and we have levels of how security can work in Nigeria today. Let me help shed some light into certain things. If you could remember during the Ambode regime, if you remember during the Fashola regime, and if you remember this present regime, there's already in Lagos. I want to use Lagos State as a base example for you guys, so please forgive me on this. They have what they launched and what they've paraded out there as well. Security helicopter shoppers. Where are they? Have we ever seen anything at all moving around on our roof side or anything? No, we've not. Have we seen where police are actually parading and moving into communities that they've never even been to before and bringing out ideas and communicating with them? Investing or taking loan is not the problem. How you use the loan you've taken is the question. And what result the loan will give you is another thing. That is why we have what we call the KPI, Key Performance Indicator on. Do we have that? How do we measure that? How do we know that, okay, in those states, the threats over there is not kidnapping, it's communal clashes. In Kwara State, what we have is religious crisis. In Lagos State, what we have is social crisis. How do we keep all these KPI things together? That will give us a measure of where we need to invest to, how much we need to invest, and how we're going to get results from all this. These are the key things we need to talk about.
You know, we cannot overemphasize the need or the use of technology. You know, technology seems to be taking over every sector without leaving it, fighting security, insecurity out of it. And it's as though, as a country, we've not really leveraged the tool of technology. So I'd like to put this, I know we've had this conversation a couple of times, just to reiterate and to see if there's any new development. How can technology and digital tools be better used to enhance the collaboration between the government and citizens in fighting and combating insecurity?
Thank you so much, and I will say this again, I'll go back to school to let us school ourselves. In our various schools in Nigeria today, we have what we call the computer science department. In our schools today, we have what we call criminology department as well as sociology and psychology as well. These are young, vibrant brains that we can actually tap ideas from and see how this technology we're talking about will work for us. Not all the technology we see today does work for security. I work within the security sector in the United Kingdom, and I can tell you for a fact there are certain security applications that will not work in the UK, and there are certain ones that will definitely work. But the question is this: what do you think will work better in Ajegunle? Might probably not work when it comes to Agege. What will work in Agege might probably not work on the island. So we need to now start looking into how do we see, how do we look, what exactly can we bring in that will definitely work for different community in terms of technology, and then how again do we store and save all this technology information we're getting from different places. If we don't have a good data backup, we have a problem. If we don't have a recovery backup, we have a problem as well. So it is not just about the technology or investing in technology, it's about maintaining and managing the technology we're talking about today.
All right, thank you very much. In less than a second, I don't know whether it was you who said it or one of our guests said it, that he has been to the police station and never seen a computer before. And that's
I said it.
You are the one.
I said it.
So how can we go above that? A computer not in a police, not found in a police station, that's data cannot be accessed. We cannot have data.
Electronic storage of data. And all of that.
Look, don't let us go too far on this issue. This is why I keep talking about you're collecting loan, you're taking loan, and you're talking about technology. And front desk, at least the front desk, no desktop, let alone fingerprinting or how you put names down. Nothing whatsoever. I said it. And I'll still keep talking about it until we start reorientating ourselves, until we start retraining back our police officers and the civil defense and all the rest. We will go nowhere. We will keep talking about it, and it will yield no result at all. How many police officers of today are so versatile and very good when it comes to the use of computer system within their own territory, within their own police environment or security environment? How many of them? We need to hold out a mass project, a mass program that everybody will key in and will understand what we're doing. This is exactly my point. We do not have, except we keep lying to ourselves. We have come to a state in Nigeria today that we need to look into our eyes and tell ourselves the real truth. We just keep talking about it rather of us working it, we're not working it at all.
Right, so we should go beyond just talking to actually carrying out these things. Let our actions speak for us.
Absolutely. We don't need to talk much. We've said a lot of talking. Let us do the working.
Right. That's a fantastic place to wrap up the conversation this morning. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. Femi Aratoko, the security expert. It's been a delight. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday.
Thank you so much.
Right. We hope you're able to learn a couple of things from this conversation. And you also have a role to play. Don't feel like, oh, I'm not in the police force, I'm not in the army, I'm not in the navy, I'm not this and that, so I don't have a role to play. As much as the government has a larger role to play, we also have certain things that we need to take into consideration in order to fight insecurity. And I want to really, with our efforts and everything, and the government upping their game, being on their toes, hopefully we should get to a situation where we would see that insecurity in the country has improved. and we have a better security system where people are not afraid to travel, people are not afraid to work at night.
We have computers.
We have computers in police stations. We can digitize things.
Yes.
We can access data electronically. And we have
Yes.
progressed from manual or analog to digital. But thank you. It has been a delight. Thank you, Femi Aratokuwale. Let's go on a short break. When we're back, we'll give you our trending story for today.
Actually, I didn't have the idea of what do you call it, CNG or whatever that you call it. I didn't have the idea of it. Although the fuel is too costly for 1,000. We are buying it 1,017, not 1,000 naira. We are buying it 1,017 naira. So I didn't know how comes he said that we should buy it 1,000 naira. So I didn't know. But that CNG, I've never bought it before. Now I don't have the idea of it.
Epo 1,000 something don't tanya. Koba muwale. So tiye, toba muwale funwa. Inu Nigeria adun, but SMG yen. And to mangbe family mo si Ìjẹ̀bú sin ti kini blow nu moto. Taba yi te ko ba yi njo nu moto. Ai le sáré jáde. Tí ẹ bá blow sin to po agbo family mi nko. Ṣé Tinubu ló bá mi cover agbo family kini ni. So yen ko ni so that is it. Mi ò fẹ́ CMG. Oh, ba ta epo ní 2,000 naira. Tọ́lọ́run bá agbe. Ọlọ́run bá agbe náà ni.
If I want to go somewhere now, I will enter a bus before it's 100 naira. Now it's 300 for Maruwa from here to Shodi. It's too expensive. People cannot eat. Many people are hungry. Please, you should tell our government that should reduce all these things so that we'll be happy. Nigeria is suffering, no?
My opinion over the petrol, and the gas is that if using the CNG at 200 naira will be okay, will be very okay for Nigerian environment. The only thing is that government has to do it properly, because everything in Nigeria goes up, it doesn't come down. And if government now sees that people have changed to gas now, before you know, you will see the price of gas going up. So with my own opinion, I would say let us just switch to gas and pleaded to the government to make it firm and stable.
Welcome back. On the streets of Lagos, we went out and asked Lagosians which would they prefer, to buy fuel at 1,000 naira per litre or buy compressed natural gas, CNG, at 200 naira per litre. And People expressed their own views. People said they welcomed the idea. I think one of the concerns one person made was the how safe CNG is. And he said, according to him, to his knowledge, he said if it's fuel, if his car is on fire, he can still have the.
No, I'd like to correct that. I was waiting for you to, land. It's not a fantastic concern. It's not something to be excited to hop on, in the sense that whether it's CNG
or fuel,
gas or fuel, none is safe to say you want to run out or you want to escape or what have you. So it's important that we take note of this. People are just saying, okay, we would like to buy it at this amount, we would like to buy it at this amount. If you ask me, there's been no proper conversation around the safety of CNG.
Yes. We
just saw, wasn't it last week, a particular car that exploded, over that situation. But that's it on our trending story. I'm not sure we'll be able to give you a weather forecast, or can we take the weather forecast? Should we take the weather forecast? What do you think?
All right, let's go on a short break, and of course, we'll be right back.
Welcome back, and that was the weather forecast for the day. We hope that you took note of your location. You know, when you see the weather forecast, you already know we've come to the end of the show. Thank you so much for joining us. Major thanks to our guests, Israel Fawole and Femi Aratukwale, for sharing their thoughts with us this morning. All our callers, Michael, Theo, thank you so much for calling. It's been a delight. Remember to follow us across our social media platforms at High Impact TV and High Impact Studios. I am Sarah Ousanta. Have yourself a fantastic Thursday.
It's been a pleasure staying with us. Join us tomorrow. Friday is always a bumper edition and always exciting. So join us tomorrow, same time, same station, on the Breakfast Cafe. I am Olumide Shokoya. Do have yourself a lovely day.
As a child, what is most important to you is love, warmth, acceptance, and security. But as you grow, there is a paradigm shift in the way you approach life. The interest you lose in some things, you pick in other things.